asking why I let it go. It's just way too much for my heartbeat, so I'm laying low. Yes, I could rethink what I'm thinking if I had control, but I don't, so don't you be asking why I love you so. Your love ain't free, it's killing me. I want it to end, oh, 'cause I've been trying, I've been waiting for so long. I'm waiting.
Enjoying the show? Show your support for the live stream and the people making the show. Buy a super chat or super sticker on YouTube directly. Select your donation and type your message to the world. And share. All donations go into directly funding new shows. Buy a super sticker or super chat now. Thank you.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and fund our work
to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
We believe mixed is the best for the sport, for the world. That's why we're making a global showcase, starting in Europe, made in Amsterdam. ULTI.TV. ULTI.net.
Fluff, we ready to go?
Enjoying the show? Show your support for the live stream and the people making the show. Buy a super chat or super sticker on YouTube directly. Select your donation and type your message to the world. And share. All donations go into directly funding new shows. Buy a super sticker or super chat now. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the European Ultimate Indoor Championships here in Lithuania. We are at the GARLIAVA Sports Centre for finals day. You've already had the women's bronze medal match. We move now into the open division. It's Ukraine taking on Latvia, and you saw a very stirring rendition of the Ukrainian national anthem right there. It's Benjamin Rees with you in the booth, delighted to be joined by the one and only Hannah Pendlebury. Hannah, are you as excited as this? I'll start that again. Are you as excited for this as I am? I can't even get my words out. That's the buzz I've got.
Oh, absolutely. The centre here is starting to get plenty of atmosphere. The stands are filling up with the other teams. Of course, this is only finals day. There are no final placement games for any of the other nations appearing at this maiden European Indoor Championships. The tournament's so good they had to try 3 times to make it happen, but we're glad to be here with you. And it's been a fantastic time so far in Kaunas, Lithuania. And my oh my, first seeded open division Latvia won. Of course, Latvia and Lithuania both bringing 2 teams to this event in just the bronze medal match. What happened, Benji?
Well, they came up against a juggernaut powerhouse Belgium side in the semi-finals. Highly recommend going back and watching that game. And it is this star-studded Latvia side that will begin the game on offense. Jorgensen's catching the ball over the top. Easy reception on the knife there for Orlovskis. Wouldn't be easy for me, having said that. Here's Jorgensen's underneath to Betmanis. First time at this venue for either of these teams as well. But it seems like no adjustment really necessary for the Latvians. Orlovskis down the line to Jorgensen's, and it's 1-0.
Well, you said about that knife over the top, Benji, how it wouldn't be easy for you, wouldn't be easy for most players, but that's the fantastic thing about this level. The athletes out there making it look really easy and ripping open into that back corner of the end zone. You know, Jorgensen's, it's just, also Bruno Jorgensen's, what am I on about?
I've been so impressed with Jorgensen's this weekend. He's, you know, maybe not one of the biggest names on the Latvian roster. He's certainly not one of the biggest players. I think he's the smallest in stature, but he's been so valuable offensively.
Well, you don't have to always be tall. It's good to have some height on your roster, but sometimes those little running back type players can sneak through.
Cholkin rips it deep. I think it's overshot. Daniliak tried to bring it in. There was a travel called on the throw, but then quickly retracted as that's out the back. Early break chance for Latvia, and Gusars finds Malderis underneath. Elksnitis. Here's Garvey, wants the little dish off to Malderis. Just working it around the back nicely here, the Latvians, before Gusars sticks the knife to Emils Elksnitis, and it's an early break for Latvia, 2-0.
Well, I'm not sure exactly how much indoors the Ukraine play. I imagine a fair amount, but this is definitely Latvia's surface of choice. They play so much indoors. Obviously, they are very well decorated on the grass surface as well, certainly in the club division, but they really look like they're having a ball out here and happy to just run through this like a hot knife through butter. But we've seen lots from the Ukrainian teams in the women's division. They managed to snag 1 win at the end, but they looked so capable. It's lovely to see their open team at work too.
Daniliak coming very close to our tech on the sidelines. We are pretty cramped for room here. Little hammer over the top there, or scuba I should say, from Zavalenko to Sasha Daniliak. And there's the knife to the big man, Vladislav Horbatyuk underneath. Orest Andrichuk. Andrichuk to the end zone, picking out Zavalenko. First score of the game on the board for the Ukrainians. They're still down though 2-1. This Ukraine side, I think a lot of people weren't necessarily expecting them to be at the top end of the tournament. Certainly, given the way the pools went, it was a bit of a surprise because a 3-way tie between Great Britain and Latvia too. And Ukraine took the second spot in the pool behind Sweden by virtue of a better points difference against the pool winners. It put them in a quarter-final, a tough quarter-final against the Netherlands. And if you haven't watched that game, I cannot recommend enough that you go back and watch it. It is sensational.
Absolutely. We were in separate venues, isolated from each other, but I heard tell of that game against the lads in orange.
Here's the hammer over the top. Orlovskis just dominates the skies, doesn't he? He's not quite in the end zone. Shupanov is on the mark, having to go backwards here. Apinis. Back to Orlovskis, watches it into the left hand. and he's trying to fire this inside flick through. Not a very indoorsy throw, that one. The flat inside out, but he picks out Abeltinch to make it 3-1.
Well, expect the unexpected indoors. Like you say, it's not a very indoorsy throw, but that's the beautiful thing about there being 0 wind. You can really vary things up. And because you can, it's a bit like teams that become one-dimensional. If they never chuck it or they don't know how to play in small spaces, you can start to predict what they're going to do. But by throwing a couple of, flatter, faster-paced throws in alongside those big overhead, curvy, shapy shots, keeps things interesting.
Yeah, it brings the arms of the mark down as well, and it might open up space to sling those overheads like that one. Good communication from the Latvians there, Zavalenko. Now here's the live wire Cholkin. Horbachuk. He wanted the down the line, he doesn't see it. But on a stall count rising, just a saucy little scuba there, hammered over the top, looking for Zavalenko. Great feat for a big man. Vladislav Zavalenko grabbing his 2nd goal of the game. They still trail, but that is, again, we feel like the Ukrainians getting into a bit of an offensive rhythm now.
Well, Didier Malderis not happy with himself there. Has a little kick at the cone. Not a fan of players kicking the cones around. The cones are doing a hard job. And a risky job at that. But fantastic footwork. Zavalenko putting it in. But this is how the Latvians are really pressuring the Ukraine team at the moment. They are making them play to the very edges of their offense. And that is what generated the first turn. It was about 2 inches away from being picture perfect at the back with that first grab that gave their Latvians their 1 break.
Giertz Bedmanis. He's got an open dump if he wants it. Oh, nearly a miscommunication there with Podgorskis, but no problems. Zinging that one high. Again, Orlovskis. And then the casual lefty backhand into the end zone. Not a problem there for Robert Zapinis to bring in. That'll be 4-2.
Everyone loves an offhand backhand, especially indoors. Like I say, the creativity, if you've got a deep tool set and you're happy to throw more or less anything, you can get some really interesting happenings out here. And of course, the height on Orlovskis and his experience of just taking down those bullety overheads really coming through. Everyone
on this Latvia team contributes, but Orlovskis we know is going to be a big player. 14 assists and 19 goals coming into this game. Zavalenko. Scubas over the top to the slightly more diminutive Andrichuk, and a miscommunication. That's going to be easily gobbled up by Garvey. Banans. De Kasparan's tight to this sideline. Catches it right in front of the cushion. And again, they're utilising what little space they've got on this sideline well. Kasparans back to Malderis. Elksnitis to Garvey. Wow, that was absolutely ripped into the end zone by Elksnitis and Yanis Banans, who I've affectionately started calling Mr. Latvia because his fingerprints are all over Latvian Ultimate in the best way. Catches the score for 5-2.
Indeed, Banans has been going between venues here in Lithuania. Of course, the Latvians have all driven across the border. This is very close to home territory for them, but not quite. He's been coaching the women's team, who unfortunately did get knocked out in quarterfinals by a huge GB performance. But Banans, as you say, he's a very big unit for Latvia.
Yeah, I don't know if he still is, but he certainly was president of the Latvian Ultimate Federation.
Also, to credit the height on that blade, that last Latvian score, that was insane.
Daniliak absolutely whips that one. Caught just shy of the end zone by Horbachuk. They're trying to get the one-on-one through to Cholkin, and he just runs round Podgorskis and makes it 5-3.
I have to ask the question, where were the rest of the Latvian defenders there? One-on-one in the end zone. You really never want to leave your teammate in that position ever.
You can see them there begin to flood in, but when the shot went up, I think because the way the Latvians are playing defense at the moment, they're putting every defender on an island. It's take your matchup, focus on shutting them out of the game. But sometimes you might be better off just...
Well, there was an opportunity. There was an opportunity there potentially for a little bit of a drop-off, just for, half a heartbeat.
Jurgensen's to Orlovskis. Abeltinch takes off. Orlovskis with the hammer. And as easy as that, it's 6-3. The Latvian offense has been exceptional, I was going to say this game, all weekend really, but the Latvians have still yet to turn it over this game.
Absolutely, picture perfect on offense, and that is how you frustrate your opposition. If you can keep their offensive line out, especially indoors, where there isn't that much time to make up for early mistakes, if you can grind out those points for your opposition to hold the disc for as long as possible and then just ruthlessly rip through when you have the disc, is a real rhythm to the game that is hard to overcome.
Horbaczuk to the brick mark, taking off deep, not going for it. Instead, it's Cholkin on the undercut. One-on-one in the end zone again. Now Zavalenko tries to fill in, coming back for the scuba. And continuing the scuba loving, Zavalenko, not quite as high this one, but utilizing the more vertical trajectory there to squeeze that one into Horbaczuk for the score.
And the fans in the stands are delighted at that as well. The atmosphere here really starting to rise up. Tall man to tall man. And the scubas, this is just a scuba dream, this entire tournament.
Lots of hammers, lots of scubas. Haven't seen any thumbers yet, but there's still time. Don't disappoint me.
What about a spine on the final? It is indoors after all.
Oh wow, that is expansive, and it doesn't come off. Abeltinch couldn't reel it in.
And there we have it, our first Latvian area.
As we said, they've been very good, but nobody's perfect. What can Ukraine do? Can they punish that Latvian turnover in a very congested space? So now spreading it across the field. Chuli. Shupanov. Underneath. Can they find a way into the end zone? Here's Vlad Daniliak. Going into the backfield, they're working this around nicely, but how long can they stay patient? Will they eventually force the scoring shot? They do, and it works! Chuli into the end zone where he's got Roman Derkac, and that is a Ukrainian break. That makes it 6-5.
Well, that is absolutely huge. Coming into this game, we were not expecting anything but Latvian domination, but as you say, that error, the first error, absolutely punished straight off the bat.
It's a little bit reductive just to refer to this Ukrainian team as spirited, as gutsy, because they are more than that. There is quality to their game, but they certainly don't know when they're beaten.
Absolutely. I mean, just the faking power alone of Artur Viginski.
Abeltinch has to go underneath. Apinis gets a little bit of a bump from Shupanov there on the sideline. Orlovskis. Jurgensen takes off deep, plants, comes under. You can see the separation he creates. Betmanis with the windmill headband. Oh, that is gorgeous. A little bit of air bounce on the backhand and just slots that one in, cool as you like, to Abeltinch to make it 7-5.
That was just such a nice release round the back of the defender's ankles almost. Now that, my friends, is a throw.
Yeah, you do see it there. It's Derkac, and he just peels off slightly to stop that up line cut, and it opens the space for the break, and it was executed brilliantly by Betmanis. Everyone's set up very deep for Ukraine. You do see this quite often. It clears the space for the hammer over the top as the bailout. Oh my goodness, the scuba to Cholkin for the score. How do you like that?
Well, as we slowly tiptoe our way towards half-time, to be a score cap of 9, of course. Finally, Ukrainians on perfect form. That little stumble, the overshot to give the Latvians their first break. It looked like they might come out inside their own heads, but that was diamond polished.
The Ukrainian women's team chanting on the sidelines. The Ukrainians have been, I think, generally very popular here this weekend. That ball is going to be taken at the brick mark by the mulleted Jurgensens.
It's a strong look. Not sure if it's a good look, but it's definitely a strong look.
I think there's a little bit of moisture on the field. Either that or we're having a squeaky shoe competition. someone get the mop. Also, I think it shows just there's a good vibes around. Everyone can not necessarily taking themselves too seriously, which I like. Here's Jørgensen's to Abeltinch. Now Jørgensen's pushing through. Happiness fills the space in the handless let. What the knife over the top. It was very ambitious and audacious. Orlovskis couldn't bring it in though. Can Ukraine bring us on serve? It's floaty, and oh, it's reeled in. I thought Jørgensen's had position, and he did, but Vladislav Daniliak had other ideas, and Ukraine break. We're back on serve and level at 7 apiece.
Oh my word. Well, sometimes you just get roofed. That was definitely Jørgensen's getting roofed. Huge grab over the top, goes up strong at the perfect moment. If anything, sometimes as a defender, you want to go up that touch too early, see if you can bait your opponent into going up with you. But that one was great confidence from the Ukrainians.
So rotating a couple of players onto the O-line here in Podgorskis and Banans. Banans charges off deep. Orlovskis under is the option instead. Borbachuk's now come over to play defense. So was Cholkin. I think Ukraine sensed there might be something cooking. Podgorskis just beyond the brick mark. The upline cut from Banans. Shupanov beaten to the spot, and Latvia back in front at 8-7.
Well, those rotations through seem to have made a little bit of difference there. The pace of this game, fiery stuff. 42 minutes of regulation time. This one sneaking towards half rather quickly, and it just shows how just dynamite these throws and cuts are after that previous Latvian point, where I think probably that huge 2/3 of the pitch, maybe bladey flick, probably one of the hardest catches to make in all of Ultimate.
One-handed grab on the scuba by Sasha Daniliak. Going across, oh, Zavalenko and Horbachuk both went up for it. There is a pick right in the center of the field. Madari saying, that's fine, you got there, but I'm just going to catch up a bit.
Yeah, a little bit of friendly fire. Can you imagine a force out of the foul out of bounds by your own teammate?
That would 100% feel bad. Daniliak going across Horbachuk. Zavalenko and Cholkin downfield. Bit of a thunder and lightning combination. Again, good communication. Zavalenko catches it. There's another pick. Way before the throw. At least that was the message on field.
Yep, some players suspiciously open, as we like to say. But with the pace of this game, not surprised.
Everyone's set. Garvey's ready to check it in. Horbachuk looking underneath. Oh, he snuck it in there, no! On the landing, must have jarred it loose. Gusars with the break chance. Elksnitis just outside the end zone. And jamming it in the jam hole, finds Ned Garvey to take us into half with Latvia up 9-7. What a frenetic, fast-paced half. And I think something that's really interesting to look at, no point has had more than one turnover. When a team has turned it over, they have been punished.
Well, clinical as anything, these teams. Some players will choose not to take that teeny tiny window on the front cone when it gets hot, but the confidence and the pace of these outfits is fantastic. But half taken in pretty fast fashion.
Yeah, we're going to take a little break here in the booth as well to send you some important messages, and we'll be back with you on the other side. Don't go away.
Enjoying the show? Show your support for the live stream and the people making the show. Buy a super chat or super sticker on YouTube directly. Select your donation and type your message to the world. And share. All donations go into directly funding new shows. Buy a super sticker or super chat now. Thank you.
I play for Ukraine.
Spela för Ukraina.
Spel för Ukraina.
Шага för Ukraina.
תשחקו בשביל אוקראינה.
Kijken za Oekraïne.
Speel voor Oekraïne.
Jaat, Oekraïne je.
Speel voor Oekraïne.
Живи voor Oekraïne.
Draai dla Oekraïne.
Speel voor Oekraïne.
Oekraïne.
Speel
Voor Oekraïne.
Nanki.
Speel
bij Oekraïne.
Oekraïne.
Play for Ukraine.
Everyone here at the EUIC plays for Ukraine as Ukraine receive to begin the second half up against Latvia. The scuba over the top. Oh, Cholkin left it for Zavalenko, and that allowed the defender to steal through. Maldaris into the end zone. Ice cold to Garvey. His second goal in a row, and Latvia break to open the second half. 10-7, Cholkin engaged in conversation with Zavalenko.
Well, we've said it already, Benji. When there's a turnover, it is punished in pretty quick fashion, and this opening point of the second half, no exception. The Latvians now 2 breaks up over their opponents. But talking about the games that got us here, probably the 2 best games of the tournament up to this point for the Open Division were definitely the Latvia-Belgium semi.
Oh, that was sensational as well. We've had some absolute crackers, to be fair, across the 3 venues this weekend. Here's the blade to swing to Cholkin. Just going to dish that one off underneath to Zavalenko. Daniliak. Down the line, Orbachuk. Wanted the little inside channel there. Instead, underneath, there was big pressure from Kasparans, and everyone nearly came clattering into the scaffold. More than anything else, I'm just glad everyone's okay.
Well, there was definitely a hit, and I felt that in my bones, Benji.
Gusars picks up right on the sideline with the cushion for company. Swung all the way across now to Maldaris. Banans coming underneath. Latvia looking to drop the hammer, and Banans down the line to Podgorskis makes it 11-7. And the hip bumps for good measure as well.
Well, I think something has happened to the Ukrainian players in the halftime, Benji. Maybe that little breaking game, almost like when you call a tactical timeout to try and stop the momentum of your opponents if they go on a break train, which we might see happen at some point soon, especially if the Latvians go and get another break right now. But maybe that little pause has given them a bit flat-footedness.
Hey, until this game's over, I'm not calling it. Chuli now coming over to play a little bit of offense. Going for the blade, Cholkin. Wants Zavalenko to come underneath. That's the option. He's being marked by Abeltinch. Down the sideline, excellent footwork there, balletic almost, by Andrew Chuli. Chuli into the centre for Zavalenko. Zavalenko just sitting the scuba to space, and some toe drag swag, but a travel on the throw. The crowd not happy with the call, but when has any crowd ever enjoyed a travel call? Regardless of how legitimate it may be.
Never, Benji.
Yeah, I know, isn't it? Well, I think the players on the field thought better of it as well, because it is retracted and the score will stand for Ukraine. Look at the footwork again, the tiptoe.
Well, absolutely insane footwork on the end of that score. There was definitely a toe drag of that pivot foot, but the nice thing about Ultimate, of course, being self-refereed, you have the ability to have a chat through. And do I think that impacted the release point and the spacing away from the mark? No. So that's a really good outcome.
I always think if you're not sure, it's better to call it, have the discussion, and retract it.
I agree with you, Benji.
So Abeltinch finds happiness. Betmanis slinging one underneath. Orlovskis begins to cock for the hammer. Instead, Abeltinch is the option and gets a bump on the mark for his troubles from Roman Diakac. Accepted foul. Still will come in on 0 once everyone's ready.
Yep, you could see the pivot point of Abeltinch move as he took that hit.
Abeltinch with these bright blue boots. I say boots, trainers, I guess. Betmanis with the hammer to Abeltinch. He's made the catch, but he's not in the end zone just yet. Now they are. The backhand to Abeltinch makes it 12-8.
Basketball kicks, I think, is the correct phraseology for those shoes. Basketball kicks.
Kicks. I'm not cool enough to know these sorts of things.
Got down with the kids, huh?
To the surprise of literally nobody. No, not really.
We're not that trendy, are we, Benji?
Speak for yourself. I'm wearing my very stylish ULTI.TV swag.
So am I. And we are very, very grateful to Force Ultimate for our wonderful swag we got this season. Trying to be more eco-friendly, get fewer tournament-specific shirts.
You can get your own if you go to the Force website as well. Daniliak underneath. The swing to Zavalenko. Looking for the deep one instead, Cholkin underneath. Looks like they've lost their spacing a little bit here, the Ukrainian offense. Can they just reset until they get set? Asking a lot of Cholkin. Ooh, it was awkward footwork, but he kept it in. And Elksnitis is calling him out.
Yeah, I had a sharp intake of breath when that one was caught. I think the difference maker at this point is that the Latvians are really turning the screws in terms of their body positioning. They are in the pocket of their matchups.
Ball retracted. Here's the deep shots. Zavalenko. Everyone flooding in. Oh, they left Horbachuk alone for a second. Stall out called by Banans. And retracted. Gonna stay here with Sasa Daniliuk. Taps it in and finds Cholkin as easy as that. 12-9.
Well, Ukraine is still very much in this game. Of course, when regulation time expires, you have to be within 3 of your opponents or it is done. But Latvians looking very confident. The slowdown with the calls and then the retractions, like you say, you've got to make the call when you see it and have a discussion about it. I don't think that was anything tactical there, but it is interesting to see that sort of punctuating the game now. The first couple of points, that first half was almost without any calls at all.
Jurgensen's absolutely rips it, looking for Orlovskis, and it's a bit too far.
How have the other venues been for height with the ceilings? Because the women's division, Benji, we've had some ups and downs.
I think this is probably about the same clearance that we had over in Prinai, where most of the open games have been. Certainly it's where Latvia have played all their games so far. We did have some discs hitting the rafters, but generally we were okay. Vlad Daniliak. Underneath, here's Derkach. High one over the top for Zavalenko, brilliant reception. Here's Shupanov, who you might recognize, not just for his exploits on, but also off the field. He's a really happy snapper. You'll see him with his camera at many of Ultimate's best events. And they're looking for Shupanov in the end zone, and it's picture perfect as well. There is a discussion. Pick potentially. And again, having the discussion, deciding the goal is good. Ukraine break, seeing if they can exert a little bit of pressure on the Latvians now. 12-10.
Well, sky battles all over the shop in this game after the ambitious put to the end zone. As you say, the Latvians not perfect in this game, Benji, and that's an all-important Ukraine break, but they still trail by 2.
Both sides 100% on break opportunities. When they've turned it over, they've punched it in. Banans underneath. Orlovskis down the line to Balan. And as soon as Orlovskis threw it, he began to walk away. He knew He knew it was good. 13-10.
So what we're saying in this game, Benji, is this is essentially a battle between two O-lines. Who can make the fewer mistakes? Who can give the fewest look-ins and opportunities to their opposition? At the moment, Latvia winning that battle. But if the Ukrainians can continue piling that pressure on, staying on the shoulder and forcing the Latvians to play at the edge of their offense.
Scuba over the top, Cholkin on the halfway line, rising to grab it. They've got the poach open backwards. Sasha Daniliak blading to the end zone. Zavalenko with the stickiest of fingers. 13-11.
One talk about perfect execution. That throw was dynamite in a box. It's the angle it's so easy to really throw those blades at such a difficult one to snag, but that's at the perfect, almost like it's the same angle as his open outstretched fingers. And that'll do very nicely, thank you.
Zavalenko and Cholkin coming over to play a little bit of defense now. Maybe they sense a pinch point in the game. Olofskis wasn't happy with what he saw downfield. Takes a little short one to Apines. Lobbing that one over there. Abeltinch. Jurgensen's collecting the reset. Couple of seconds before Cholkin can get the stall on. Jurgensen takes off deep, but it's the hammer over the top for Olofskis. Didn't even need to jump for that one. Such was the placement. 14-11.
Well, I have a suspicion, Benji, this one's going to go to the full stretch of 17 if we're not careful. But we'd be delighted to get every drop out of this game. Beautiful execution there. But as you say, this is the point where we might see the line start to tighten up. Of course, only 11 minutes left on the clock and very short rosters. Ukraine have 11 to choose from, Latvia 12.
Orbachuk. Daniliak still in the Ukrainian end zone. No pivot on the backhand here to Zavalenko. He looks a little bit frustrated. Cholkin's on the floor. Squeezes it down the line, right in front of the camera to Horbachuk. Cholkin now with a right-handed snag. Andrichuk wanted the little one underneath. Instead, on the high stall, doing the right thing, turning, isolating the reset of Zavalenko. And I don't know what Daniliak saw downfield, but no one else on the field seemed to see it either.
Yeah, clearly a mirage in that back corner.
We've not really seen teams get big blocks, but it's defensive pressure forcing offensive mistakes. Garvey. Garvey wants the deep shot. Oh, it was off the fingertips of Emil Zelsnitis. It's the first time a team's been able to earn the turn back.
Well, you say earn the turn, as you say, it's all about putting that pressure on, and just that was half an inch away from being a goal.
I was going to say, could he have got it if he laid out? But
yes,
that would have been some layout. Fast hands from Horbachuk. Scoobering. Oh, it's a little too high for Zavalenko.
And our first dirty point becomes a little bit extra filthy.
Gusars. Swinging to Banans. Elksnitis dishing off to Gusars. Players flooding into the end zone, and Maldaris sits in that soft spot for the Latvian break. 15-11. 2 points away from the bronze medal. This game has really flown through, Hannah.
It has, and it's the beautiful thing about the indoors format, the pace of the games, as well as the shortened format, just 42 minutes of regulation time. It becomes a bit more like watching basketball, you know, that kind of pacey energy, that excitement that keeps you guessing and keeps you on the edge of your seat. And these two teams are tussling together. Latvia just have that little something extra for now.
Pool just drifting out the back of the end zone. Indoor pool rules, of course, slightly different. You've got to imagine there's like a 2-meter fish tank where the end zone is. And if the disc doesn't cross through that, or it hits the ground before doing so, and it's not a valid ball, and you get the chance to take it at the break. as the Ukrainians have done there. Sasha Daniliak. Backhand over the top. Horbachuk's got it. Gusar's just poaching deep a little bit. Still rising. He's trying to blade this over Orlovskis. And it was the greatest attempt from Zavalenko.
Well, you say attempt.
I mean, it was an attempt.
He was already out of bounds.
And just a straight up stone cold drop from Podgorskis. We'll give it back to Ukraine, and Cholkin slinging it over the top to Horbachuk for the score, 15-12.
I have to say, my favorite thing about this Ukrainian side is just how much they're enjoying playing. The little cheeky smile on Holobaychuk there was just pleasure to watch.
When they started when they lost their first 2 games, who would have had them in the bronze medal match?
I don't know, but we talked about the game that saw Latvia knocked out of contention against Belgium, but that stormer against the Netherlands, they must have found some magic, and that's just powered them through to this championship bronze medal match.
Orlovskis leaning back with the hammer to Jørgensens. I don't think it quite flattened out as he wanted. And Ukraine have a break opportunity very late in the piece.
Perhaps with a bit more pitch clearance, Jørgensen could have just thrown himself around, but you don't want to smack your face into that concrete barrier.
Jurkac, Shupanov, zipping it in underneath. Dolczynski. The Ukrainian D-line at the moment just happy playing it short, taking resets when they need to. Vlad Daniliak looking into the backfield, just going to knife that one over Happiness. Vladislav Daniliak, just a little push off there. Now blading towards the far side. Ooh, Orlovskis hit the wall hard. So did Shupanov.
Shupanov head first, unfortunately. Well, we talked about Jørgensen's deciding not to throw himself at that hammer that was coming down to earth like a re-entering rocket. And that's a big old smack. You have to say Orlovskis did very well to stay high enough at hip height. Took the contact with the wall well, but hopefully Shupanov will be okay.
Yeah, I think he was just about able to turn himself away to prevent colliding quite head first, and came in a little bit more side on. So the world's least surprising injury call.
Yeah.
See Shupanov come off.
Don't expect with 5 minutes to go he'll be returning to the pitch, just to make sure he looks after that head.
Disc back here with Latvia. Jørgensen's pick it up this time. 3 set horizontally downfield. It's the scuba over the top to Abeltinch. Here's Happiness. Tom Abeltinch to Geert Spetmanis. Headband matching Abeltinch's boots. And the up line with the offhand, Orlovskis to Abeltinch, brings Latvia within 1 of victory.
Indoors, sometimes those upline cuts from the reset space just really have the feel to them of like, all right, enough messing around. I'm just going to go into the end zone and make something happen. And the drive from Tomasz Abeltinch there.
And you see Jurkac, he's set a little bit off because he's trying to prevent the throw into the end zone maybe, gum up the middle of that field, but it leaves the upline space for Abeltinch to slash into. So Ukraine need 5 on the spin. Got to start it on offense here. Oh, the scuba comes out at a strange angle. Cholkin, I'll be honest, I'd say there's no way he was ever going to catch that, but I've seen him catch more ludicrous things this weekend.
And he wasn't too far away. If that had come off, that would have been the catch of the tournament.
Here's Gusars hammering to Maldaris for the win. Latvia will take home the bronze medal.
Seems appropriate, Benji. It's a D-line that does it. They get 1 block Well, one turnover forced by the hot pressure of that match defense and immediately punished. What a game.
Very warm rounds of applause for both sides. Ilya Shupanov in front of us has gone and grabbed his camera. I think both sides can quite rightly enjoy the applause as they go through the final slaps of hands. Game played in great spirits throughout. I particularly enjoyed the bit when everyone decided that it was squeaky shoe time. I think just showed the sort of energy and enthusiasm that was buzzing through the players and through the venue. For Ukraine, obviously disappointment right now, but a fourth place is still a hugely creditable finish, and I think they just see how much love there is for them across the tournament this weekend. Everyone here, as we said, plays with Ukraine and plays for Ukraine. And for Latvia, not the medal they wanted, but to be able to pick themselves up and put on quite such a strong display, as here's that grab from Malderis. I mean, how's that for a game ender? Good Lord.
Yeah, way to seal the deal. Huge climb up the standing, as you say. Ukraine initially seeded 11th here at the European Indoor Ultimate Championships, but you can tell the Latvians play together so often. They love this surface. They love a bit of indoors. And I'm so stoked to see what happens in the gold medal match later on today.
Oh, yes, that's in, let me do some maths here. 2 hours, 20 minutes time. 2 o'clock local time for the open gold medal match, which is Belgium taking on Finland, but there's still a bit more ultimate to come. Before that, we go into the mixed bronze medal match with the Finns taking on Slovakia. I'll be joining Kristina Obermeier on the call for that one. Then the women's final with Kristina and yourself. That's Sweden versus the Netherlands, as we mentioned, the open final, 2 o'clock local time. Myself and Hannah back in the booth. One final time together this weekend, Finland against Belgium, and we finish it all off with the mixed division, with Estonia taking on Great Britain, with myself and Kristina Obermeier. And it's such a good finals day. The atmosphere is buzzing here in GARLIAVA. Let's have a breather and get ready for the next one.
Yep, grab yourself a beer. We'll see you soon.
Yep, see you on the other side.
I play for Ukraine.
Spelar för Ukraina.
Spiel für die Ukraine.
Шахматна Україна.
תשחקו בשביל אוקראינה.
Grijte za Oekraïne.
Speel voor Oekraïne.
Jazz, Oekraïne.
Speel voor Oekraïne.
Speel voor Oekraïne.
Draai dla Oekraïne.
Speel voor Oekraïne.
Speel
voor Oekraïne.
Ninety.
Speel
bij Oekraïne.
Oekraïne.
Play for Ukraine.
ULTI.TV. Nothing else I wanna do.